Now, to discuss some of the issues already coming up, the ANC's Lekgotla, I'm joined by political analyst Sanet Solomon. Sanet, appreciate your time this afternoon. Now, what do you make of the decision to reconfigure the Gauteng and KZN PECs? Is this a genuine attempt at renewal, or is it politically motivated, do you think?
I think that we can consider it both ways. Firstly, it is worth knowing that the ANC performed dismally in all of the provinces, and that its votes declined in all of the provinces. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I think that one of the greater emphasis in terms of Gauteng and KZN was because those are metros. I think it is because the ANC lost out such a huge portion of those metros, and I think that it's because they're trying to do very well. But we've also noted that the leadership in both KZN and in Gauteng has been quite vocal about their stance against the GNU. And in Gauteng, we've also seen a bit of turbulence in terms of the ANC or the local ANC then teaming up with other political parties and not necessarily with GNU partners. So I think that could also be another reason. But to some extent, people do believe that it could be a political witch hunt against the PECs of those provinces, given that if you wanted to just reconfigure and you wanted to do well in all of the provinces, you would make it a nationwide approach as opposed to just targeting those specific provinces.
Now, in that clip where the ANC Secretary-General spoke, he spoke to a number of individuals within the ANC's ranks that will be charged for various misdemeanors. Is this all part of renewal, or is it almost a witch hunt to appear to be carrying out this process of renewal? Because we do understand that there are many individuals, many who are more high-ranking than these individuals, that have fallen foul of some of these rules and regulations that the ANC Secretary-General speaks of.
I do think one of the things that raises a lot of concerns isn't necessarily the fact that they're having these disciplinary hearings. It's the fact that they've cherry-picked a few individuals from that list. If you go on to the ANC's official website and you just scroll through their list of NEC members, there are quite a number of people who have a lot of allegations leveled against them. So the question then becomes, on what basis were these individuals selected, and why is it that action has not been taken against the other people who are on that list? And I think that that's what basically creates this impression that this could be a political witch hunt, but also the individuals who are targeted are not necessarily people who have strong constituencies, and it's not necessarily people who are that politically active. It's more people who have taken a more dormant political stance. So I kind of wonder if there's not an attempt to show that they want to take action, but they're not necessarily taking action against those who could possibly stand up for themselves.
Well, one of the issues that's come about is the succession debate around who succeeds Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, is all of this part of individuals potentially hedging themselves or hedging their positions?
I think it could be. I think that a lot of people could be under the impression that Fikile Mbalula could be possibly vying for that position of either president or deputy president or something more senior, or trying to retain his existing position. I think that other people who would obviously be interested in this position would be people like, or in higher positions would be people like Panyaza Lesufi. It would be the deputy president himself, and other senior leaders who are also part of that NEC. So I think that those could be people that could possibly be looked at for this. And I think that to some extent, Fikile has been trying to flex his muscle, basically also raising a question on whether or not he intends on staying as SG, or if he has further ambitions in terms of either going for the presidency or deputy presidency of the ANC.
Sanet, what should South Africans expect from the ANC Lekgotla in terms of concrete outcomes?
I don't think that South Africans have a lot of expectations. I think over the years, South Africans have become quite it's become quite normal for them to have these debates, for them to have these discussions, and for them to have, I would say, lower level outcomes. Let's say they do have these disciplinary hearings and there is an outcome from these disciplinary hearings. I don't necessarily think that that would have much of an impact in terms of the country per se. I think that that would be more internal. I think the biggest things that we've seen have come out from early in the week when they were discussing what their plan of action would be and how they will be moving forward. I think that that is as exciting as the outcomes are going to be. But we also don't know whether they'll actually be able to achieve it, because most of the things that were on those lists, like improved governance, service delivery, restructuring of the internal structures, etc., those are things that have been mentioned over the past 30 years. Again, nothing new, just a lot of recycled material.
Now, I'd imagine that one of those important conversations that's happening over these 3 days of the ANC Lekgotla is how do they move forward, particularly with the 2026 local government elections on the horizon. A lot simpler a few years ago when the ANC was in charge. Now they're in a government of national unity. What are the key considerations that they would be looking at?
I think that one of the things that they're trying to do is they are trying to strengthen their position within not only the party, but also in different communities. And I think that's why they had this emphasis in terms of strengthening their branches so that they would have more councillors on the ground working with communities, etc. But I think one of the more controversial things that obviously happens at a national level, but also has a trickle-down effect in terms of your local government elections, is the possible signing of this land expropriation without compensation bill. And I think that another thing that they will be trying to put an emphasis on is the national health care, because we know that those are very big issues that a lot of South Africans have been concerned with. And I think that they will try to drag it, especially in the run-up to the elections, because if you look at both releases or both signings of these documents, they were very strategic. One was prior to the national elections, and the other one is just prior to the local government elections. So the timing on both of these issues are quite interesting.
Sanet Solomon, appreciate your time. Thank you for walking us through those issues around the ANC's current Lekgotla taking place in Ekurhuleni.